In today's seller's market, home buyers are getting outbid, and it is sometimes very frustrating not to be able to find the house you want. Mortgage rates are at historical low levels. So, what should a buyer be doing? Should they should they offer more money and take advantage of the lower interest rates, or hope that the home prices will go down and mortgage rate also will remain low? To answer these questions, we have with us Michael Lamborn, VP of GRA. Michael has been in mortgage industry for over 20 years. So we want to ask Michael, what should a home buyer like Sid should be doing? Welcome to the show, Mike and Sid.
Hi, thanks for having me, Bipin. I probably need to, for compliance, give you my license number and everything, since we're going to talk about mortgages. So my name again is Michael Lamborn. I am a Vice President of Mortgage Lending for Guaranteed Rate Affinity. The NMLS number is 28261. And now we should be able to speak freely. Great. Okay. So it's a frequent question right now. From many home buyers that I'm speaking with. Should I try to wait the market out and hope that home prices come down? What is the market going to look like 6 months from now? And it's a little trying, but if you look at our area specifically, real estate is very localized. So the answers for our area in Chester County, Delaware County, Montgomery County may be very different than, say, in Pittsburgh out in Allegheny County. So in this area, what we've been seeing over the last several years, there's a lot of new income coming into the area. A lot of major companies are relocating people here. That makes the increased home prices sustainable. So if the incomes are there to sustain the prices, there's really not a whole lot of reason for the prices to come down. They may plateau, they may slow, but to wait for a reversal in what's going on with home prices, this micro economy here may not be the best situation for waiting things out. Now, at the same time, mortgage rates they've just come off quite literally the lowest they've ever been in the history of mortgages. So we're still seeing just traditional fixed rate mortgages in the very low threes, which historically it just should not exist. So waiting 6 months to see if house prices come down, well, the forecast is very strong that mortgage rates will be going up. So if home prices, let's say if they did decrease slightly, but the cost of financing those homes goes up, where do those things cross paths? And we'll all have to learn this together as it actually happens. But a difference, say if mortgages were to go from where they are now to 4%, well, 4% 2 years ago was fantastic. So as rates try to correct themselves, should they reach those levels again, the difference you would see in mortgage payment is equivalent to approximately $50,000 worth of mortgage. So as we're waiting for the home prices to hopefully settle down, are they going to settle down $50,000? Or is it going to be somewhere in between? Or are they just simply going to plateau and the money gets more expensive? So it's really an interesting question right now. I'm sorry, I got invaded here. So there's really not a concise answer. It's like trying to predict the stock market. But what we can all agree on is that mortgages are too low now, and the environment is absolutely ripe for them to go higher. So those same homes, it just starts increasing the cost to be able to finance those homes. As you're hopefully seeing prices come down, which again, we can't be assured that that's going to happen. And in our microeconomy here especially in Chester County area, it's just opinion. I don't think it's likely they will come down. I think they will slow down.
It is.
but coming down enough to offset the difference in the financing cost. I think that might be a losing gamble.
It is supply versus demand, and right now the home supply is so limited.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if you look at the general economy, all prices have gone up pretty much. Any produce, any materials, labor costs have gone up, and unless there is a huge influx of homes into the market, there is going to be shortage of available homes for buyers to go for.
Sure. Well, the shortage of housing inventory is not new. This has been in place for what, 4 years, 5 years? It's just more severe right now. And with that, like anything else, it's supply and demand. So that's pushing the prices up. The difference being with something as large of an investment as a home would be, you eventually run into an income cap where the incomes need to be able to support what the prices are doing. That's what makes the greater Chester County area supportive of the higher values, is there has been an influx of higher income employment coming into the area over that same period, where you may not find that in other parts of the state. In those parts of the state, you may really have a bubble. In this area, I don't believe we do. I think it's sustainable. Again, my best opinion and nothing more.
Let us ask Sid what are his concerns, and with your expertise, hopefully it will help him and many other home buyers who are looking to buy.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak to Michael. And yes, I agree. And within Chester County itself, we see that there are these high worth areas and a little, not so high worth areas if you compare the school districts. So the costs are not the same. I mean, you can get a very big home in a, not such a good school district. So I think there are other things to consider within Chester County itself. But yes, I do believe too that until unless we have a huge supply of inventory, and that doesn't happen overnight, the prices may not come down as much. They may slow, that they may not come down so much. But here's a question, Michael, from I think is important for a person like me who's never had a mortgage yet. Is we keep hearing about these financing deals, like it's important to shop around and compare lenders, and everybody gives you a different quote, different prices. And it's always suggested go out there, try to see who's which lender is offering you the best deal, compare those estimates, negotiate better terms, and then choose a mortgage. So there's a lot going on and a lot of suggestions being thrown in the way of a person like me. What would you suggest? So what are these good deals? What should you be looking at when you say who's offering the best deal?
Yeah, so when you get to the mortgages, it's important to realize really what drives the cost of mortgages. So mortgages are driven by the bond market. We all have the same bond market. So the yield on the 10-year treasury is not different for ABC Mortgage versus Bank of America. It doesn't work that way. So what you do find is there's a lot of repackaging and salesmanship in the industry, which, having done this for so long, I'm fatigued from it. I would rather just tell you what it is. So what you will find as a difference is the level or the threshold within the industry that you're working with. So it's always in your best interest to be working with a direct lender. In the mortgage world, broker is kind of a bad word. A broker is a middleman who is retailing you a loan from a lender. So unless that broker is a nonprofit organization, you are paying more, no matter how good of a salesperson that may be, to make you believe otherwise. But when you get to the direct lender level, where you're looking at banks, you're looking like institutions like us, or there are and we're one, there are big national direct lenders that are not depository banks. The key is you want fewer layers of the onion so that you're not going through layer after layer of what's going to add retail costs. So you really want the shortest path for most people that we speak with. We're talking about just standard issue Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA kind of financing. You just want as few steps between the consumer and the investor on the back end of the loan, and that's where you're going to arrive at the lowest cost. You may find minimal fluctuations in things of like processing fees and that sort of thing. So if $100 of fees is going to change your financial institution on a $500,000 purchase, you're probably overthinking things. And you really at that point want to look for dependability and reliability, making sure you're going to close on time, knowing where you're going to end up with for the long term, rather than just becoming an asset that's sold every 6 months and you never know where your payment's going to be due next month until you get the letter. There's a lot that goes into it beyond just, who's $10 cheaper at the time of closing. There is an aspect of you get what you pay for in our industry, as there are in most industries. But there's not a magical deal where there's a company that's 0.5% cheaper than everyone else. If they were, they'd be out of business before you could close on your house.
Got it.
Now,
so really, you're looking for direct lending, you're looking for relationship, and you're looking for reliability, and that's really where your choice should.
And I want to add one more factor to that. Having to dealing with a locally based lender or locally based mortgage representative means a lot. When you're dealing with somebody on 800 number or by email or by chat only, and suppose they are not able to close on time, or they are not able to approve on time, how are you going to chase them? With Michael based in Exton, I can go down to his office and say, "Hey, Michael, what happened to my mortgage?"
That's true. Vipin can come kick my desk if he needs to. Fortunately, he'll never need to. But you bring up a really good point, and this is more state specific. The tax customs in Pennsylvania are very, very, very unusual. So I've through the years, I've done mortgages in about 45 states. Pennsylvania, and now I service Pennsylvania and New Jersey only. The tax customs in Pennsylvania are fantastically strange. So when you're working with a box store bank online or an online lender because you think you're going to save $100 at closing, what ends up happening is the numbers that you're using for yourself and your family to budget and prepare for settlement are very often very wrong, because they don't understand the tax customs here. You kind of need to be here, boots on the ground in this tax situation to get it right. Our taxes are paid annually. They're paid in advance, which means you have prorations back to the seller. We have a transfer tax. The transfer tax is not the same in every township and school district. The nicest person, in a cubicle in San Antonio, Texas, has no idea about any of that. And what the unfortunate result usually is you'll receive an estimate that is too low. And it's not a matter of loan costs themselves or even title company costs. It's a matter of the taxes, which are a huge component of your closing costs. And I've seen them firsthand too many times where they're $3,000-$4,000 wrong, and they're wrong too low. Well, ultimately your taxes are what they are, no matter what the out-of-state lender thought they were going to be. So as you're preparing to close on your house and buy your new refrigerator and your new sofa, there's about $3,000 less in your bank account than you thought because you were preparing for an estimate that was that incorrect. So Pennsylvania, there are a few states that are this way, but Pennsylvania, really, really critical. Not that they have to be in the same town as you, but they need to be in Pennsylvania and familiar with the tax customs that we have here.
Absolutely. That's a very, very valid point. And I think this is a there's a lot of misleading people into different directions because of the lot of lenders that have certainly sprung up, and you start getting calls once you hit a website and you just like bombarded with like 10 people calling you.
Mhm.
So this is a really important point. Thank you.
And Michael, we talked about the current mortgage rates, and hypothetically, 6 months from now, for example, if the home price changes just a little bit, however, the mortgage goes up, how would you compare that so that Sid can visualize those numbers? Say, for example, a 500,000 home or a 600,000 home in our area at today's rate and at a slightly different rate, what would be the difference?
Well, when you look at things where they are now, so without anyone selling you anything or packaging anything, realistic conventional mortgage rates right now, just as of today, a well-qualified borrower should expect something in the very low threes, 3.125, for example. As rates correct themselves, and I use the word correct because rates should never, ever, ever, ever be this low. It should not ever happen. Yet here we are. So as they're going up, it's not that they're going to a bad level. They're trying to correct themselves back to where they more organically should be. So for rates to get back to 4%, for example, the difference in dollars financed to offset that same amount of payment in the interest rate, it would be in the $40,000 range. So a house that is 500,000 now, at these rates, you would end up with the same monthly payment, only if the property would come down to more like 460,000 while you were trying to wait the market out. So my point in that discussion that I've had with several people is what's going to happen with home prices. That's the uncertain part. Some people think they'll continue to go up. Some people think they will level off. The most common opinion that I hear, and again, it's just anyone's opinion. I can't tell you what Google stock's going to be tomorrow either.
Crystal ball? You don't have crystal ball?
Right. But the most common opinion is that they're just going to slow down. That they'll continue to increase in the area, but at a more normal pace than they have over the last couple of years. So if that's the case, the uncertain part is what's going to happen with the home prices. The mortgage rates, they're going to go up because they can't stay where they are. They should never be here in the first place. So they have to go up. It's really a matter of how far will they go and how fast does it happen. So the waiting game becomes very risky in this area because, again, if the incomes can support the home prices, there's no reason for them to come down.
Right.
But the cost of financing them is going to go up. It just has to.
And we have been hearing this week that the Feds have been talking about raising interest rates in 2022 a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
And
more importantly, they're going to dial back what they've been doing to purchase bonds themselves. Right. It basically creates fake money to do so. And that's what's been keeping the interest rates so low. Otherwise, rates should already be higher. We've been hearing the same experts tell us rates would be 5% by now. But as the Fed's been continuing to do what they're doing, it's keeping the rates artificially low. As they dial that back, that means the artificial influence is also being dialed back, and rates just have to correct themselves higher. So we'll see how fast and how far. But if you remember, prior to it's been such a calamity economically since COVID started. But before COVID, you would be calling your relatives and cheering yourself on that you managed to get 4.25 for a mortgage.
Right. Now, with COVID, what has happened is people are no longer tied to their downtowns or working close to their office locations. People have been moving. A wave of migration has happened. A wave of resignations have happened. People are moving to Omaha, Nebraska, and they could still be working in Silicon Valley. And so that has caused even more demand for homes, which was already very tight then.
It does, and it creates a whole new layer of home buyer that we're not used to. The remote worker is a real thing now, and it's just part of the overall market. In fact, prior to our call here, I was just speaking with somebody who's moving from the Northern Virginia, the DC suburb part of Northern Virginia, to Franklin County, Pennsylvania. She's bringing her job with her. She's bringing her DC area job to a very low cost area. So, and it was her words, not mine. You know, she's keeping her same job, and all of a sudden she's rich.
She got a raise.
Exactly.
Yeah, she promoted
she's
herself.
doing the same thing, doing it from home. She'll have a $400,000 home in that area that's worth probably $1.5 million where she's coming from.
Right.
And there we go. It's a whole new part of the market. It's very interesting. We are living in strange times right now.
Absolutely.
But there's good in a lot of it.
So, Sid, do you have any other question that you want to get answers from?
Yeah, one last one. Michael, is there a way we could, check these rates and the closing costs? I mean, one of the things that attract home buyers like me with the online vendors, online lenders, is their online tools, which is like, they give you a very quick quote. They give you all the breakup of the closing costs and stuff like that, which seems to be very structured, makes a lot of sense to person who is not from the background. Are there some similar tools that your company offers, or tools in the market that people like me should be looking for and not really depend on those?
It's a great question, because it will be different source to source and who you're looking at online and for those. So our company, it's almost an unfair advantage where we are one of the big national lenders, but we have a local person, myself for Bipin's office, who's stationed right there. Normally you're paying broker fees and that kind of thing to have a local person. But what we do for our company, with your initial pre-approval for a loan, you'll have a comprehensive cost breakdown of everything, and it will be accurate to local area Pennsylvania, because it'll be me doing it, not whatever algorithm comes out of whatever you're doing online that's going to tell you something that's $3,000 too low and cause you a problem later. So it is and it's important for a consumer too, to get the pre-approval step done. I couldn't tell you how many people I've spoken with where they refuse to do a pre-approval until they've gotten price quotes from 20 different places. It's like, well, now 20 people are guessing what you may or may not qualify for. You're not getting an accurate quote. So we need to know about you so that we can let you know what you qualify for, and you'll always get the best that you qualify for in the market. But your numbers may be very, very different than Mr. Jones's numbers that are going to call me next, based on your own profile for credit, income, how much you're putting down, even as detailed as the type of property. A condominium is going to get a different interest rate than a single family home. So there's a lot of detail that goes into it. So kind of the worst thing you can do is shop around before you get your pre-approval, because you may end up tying yourself to something that may not be your best answer. So once we have enough information, you'll get a full detailed breakdown that'll have you, correct for Pennsylvania taxes so that you know what you're looking for. And that really just becomes a working model until you find the specific home that you're shopping for. So as you're looking out there with Bipin, with your initial pre-approval, just, ballpark price and how much you want to put down, you'll have a good breakdown of numbers with estimated taxes for the locality and the price that you're looking for. And then as one house or another starts becoming particularly interesting for you, you'll have a refreshed real-time set of numbers with the updated interest rates, the updated closing costs, everything for that house, for price, taxes, if there's an HOA fee or something, just making everything real-time and specific. But the internet will give you just enough information to
It's too much information, to be honest with you.
Yeah. How reliable the information is maybe different.
Yeah, it's too much information, and sometimes
There are
and more
massive
often,
real estate websites out there that'll tell you that my house is worth $200,000 more than it is, and that same website a month later will tell you it's worth $200,000 less than it is. Never mind what a mortgage payment might be on it. So it's really best just to get connected, get more organic and hands-on, and somebody that's really working directly with you that has your complete information, so that what you're seeing is right. I can tell you all about a VA loan. It's the best thing in the world. If you were never in the military, it doesn't matter to you.
Right. And
but if you go online, you can find out what VA rates are. It just doesn't apply to you.
Yeah. And so Sid, I'll send you Michael's information, and you guys can talk, or if you want us all of three of us to meet, we can meet in the office and get you all the information you want.
Sure. Thank you so much.
So that you're prepared.
Exactly. It's all a whole lot easier, and there's no mystery or anything about it. It's probably a lot easier than you're expecting to get into. Well, the first step is just press and go, and then we'll walk you right through it.
Right. Michael, I really appreciate you joining despite your busy schedule. And Sid, I thank you very much for spending this time with us. I hope you were able to get all your questions answered. If not, Michael and I are just a phone call away. Let us stay in touch and get you all the information you want, so that you are the best informed customer in this crazy market.
Yeah, thank you for having me on the show, and I hope this benefits a lot of first-time home buyers. Thank
Absolutely.
you, guys.
I certainly think they would. And Michael, thank you again for spending some time with us, and we'll be in touch.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Sure. Thank you.